Right. Officially, my PB's 11-2 at the moment. Don't judge me, though, till you hear the story. Blast out the block so powerfully, they slip. Next thing, I'm running uphill into a gale force headwind with one shoe. Anyway, tear through the finish line, tongue out, winner, wink at the timekeeper. He's so amazed, he doesn't stop the clock until I'm halfway round the bottom bend. Hence, 11-2. So here's the question. If I train real hard this winter, do you think I've got the genetics and the natural talent to run, I don't know, 9.38? Preach! Testify! I don't think you're the only one with this question, so I'm going to try and answer this in the general. To me, the most important thing to answer first is, why do you think that genetics and talent are the things that matter most? Hello? Because that's what everyone tells you. Personally, I think that if we believe it is 90% genetic, that offends our concepts of freedom, choice and self-determination. It means we're not in charge of our own destinies. But nature doesn't give a dead dodo what I think's fair or recognise equality. It endows some with genetic information and leaves others without it, and puts some in an incredibly advantageous place while leaving others with nothing. The only thing that it rewards is overcoming and adapting. So regardless of your or anyone else's genetic makeup, we're all left with the same problem. Can we overcome our limiting factors, whatever they are, and adapt? Some will have less, some will have more, but we'll all have different combinations of limiting factors, though. That's a very odd spectrum. But I've said the word. That's the point of specific physical training. It provides a route to overcome your environment and give you choice and then a small degree of self-determination back. It's a control strategy. Training is really just an effort to gain control of something. See, training is not just healthy because it's good for your body. I mean, my medical notes would debate that. It's healthy because the only thing that is worth the effort in life to control is ourselves. Okay, I'm going guru. You yourself are the only thing worth controlling. Why? Because your investment in it potentially will yield the biggest return. Trying to control others is exhausting. It expends valuable energy and resource for low return. It's a bad investment. Unless you go full Fretzel, your chances of success in controlling others is very low. Parents try to do it. Your employer tries to do it. The media tries to do it. The government tries to do it. And it all requires enormous resource and energy. Trillions, in fact. If you feel the need to control your own environment, better spend the time trying to control your own body and your own mind. And if you're training just to achieve a number, then you're missing out on the real benefits of training. The time on the clock, the kilograms in the gym, they're not real. We made them up. The benefits of training is to learn about yourself and teach yourself. You train to develop yourself. We're all experiments of one. Training allows us the laboratory of our own bodies to get into the habit of solving problems on a daily basis. If you just equate the number that you achieve with natural talent or hard work as if those are the only two variables that count, I think you're missing out on the biggest factor. Scientists like to put numbers on things because it helps them understand the world, but those numbers aren't that helpful to a sports person. All sports people are trying to do is overcome their environment to adapt. Here are two examples. Now, I've read that VO2 max is trainable, but studies have shown that it tends to only improve on average by about 10%. Now, I know someone who had a VO2 max of 57 when they were doing track and field as a sprinter and a jumper. They quit the sprinting, went to cycling, and after 8 months, they had a VO2 max of 71. They then lost a further 10 kilos while keeping the same aerobic power, and 18 months later, they were at 80. This was an ex-anaerobic power athlete. That's the last place that you'd expect to find an aptitude to aerobic power. I also know someone who was running 11.3 for the 100, and then after 6 months of very specialised training, ran a 9.2 for a flying 100. And that improvement came from not just improving acceleration, but from increasing top speed. So in my experience, training's got a monstrous effect on genetic expression, but only only the right training for you. In both of those cases, they were doing very unorthodox training that was totally tailored to them. They also had a very keen sense of whether what they did dealt with their limiting factors. They didn't spend time meticulously building the bottom floor of this pyramid. They just went, limiting factor, done. Limiting factor, done. Limiting factor, done. If you take a suit off the peg, it'll fit most people and look okay. But if you want to look like Bond, it has to be tailored. I think most coaches are dishing out off-the-peg training and it suits most quite well and they get their 10% gains. Some get no gains and some get a lot more, but that's the old distribution curve. The coach relies on natural talent and then throwing enough hard work at it and hopes that something's going to stick. Off-the-peg training may hit your limiting factor, but as limiting factors are constantly changing, it's only going to hit it for a short time. As soon as your limiting factor changes, the effectiveness of that training reduces, because although you may continue to improve in that thing, that's no longer your limiting factor, and so the gains are meaningless. But if you tailor the training to the individual, which means that you do need to know what the individual needs, then the results can be far higher than 10%, and you can get them far quicker. Now you guys know that I call this Silfacker OAP training system, but it's not a PDF file type of thing. It's more like a every 12 to 24 hours reassessment type of thing. Every 12 to 24 hours? What are you, the NASDAQ? Why are you going to make it so complicated? Because Silfacker OAP training is just simply a constant hunt for the limiting factor. As soon as the limiting factor stops being the limiting factor, you change it instantly. And that's why people tend to do the off-the-peg training. Take the 10% maximum improvement and then say the other 90% is down to genetics. So you can run the times that you want, as long as the time that you want's beneath your genetic ceiling, as long as you improve by continuing to overcome your limiting factors to speed. But I'm not a scientist, I'm just a guy that knows a guy. So maybe I could be proven wrong by a guy with a lab coat and a tea pipette. I hope this helps. Not really. Give me the nuts and bolts. What should I do Tuesday? How high should my box jumps be? How much recovery should I take between sets on sprints? If I lube myself up with Vaseline, will I slip through the air quicker? Okay, I'm going to try and explain Silfacker more in the next video, but in the meantime, bust me a thumbs up, because let me tell you something. Bustin' makes me feel good. Type away in the comments bay, and if you like my vibe, please subscribe. Woo!